Hi there, I'm Jill Allen, and this is Find Your Fierce, the show designed for women to discover your fierce, unlock an unstoppable mindset, build unbreakable courage, and completely transform how you show up every single day. Each week, I will bring ideas, methods, and strategies that will inspire you to step into your greatness and live life on purpose. Let's be fit, fierce, and unstoppable. Hey there, gang. Welcome to Find Your Fierce. So glad that you are here with me as we continue this new series called Chain Breaker. And in this series, we are diving into a bunch of things, once again, that the Lord has placed on my heart for me to share with you in hopes to propel you into what God is asking you to do and to finally let go of all the things that have been holding you back and to break those chains so that you can unleash all that untapped potential that you've been holding back from the world. So let's peel back some layers today and get you reflecting on your own faith journey. But before we go any further, I have to say that I love that you are here listening in and spending time with us once again. So honored that I get to be a part of your day. You are just all absolutely incredible. And I have to thank you for your love and support. As always, I appreciate your feedback, your reviews, and I love that you share this podcast and the Set Free message with your friends and family. So if you could keep on doing that, I would be so thankful for you because you are helping this movement as it helps reach more women and it impacts more lives. And that is certainly what life is all about. So thank you. Thank you once again. Okay, so let's dive in. We talked a bit last week how we need to get back up and that Jesus is continually inviting us to get unstuck, that he's inviting us into a life beyond our wildest dreams. And I'm going to put this out there. If you're not living it, there's one reason. You're holding on to the things that are holding you back, that we are chained up. And when you're ready to let go, then God is ready to take you to higher levels, a deeper impact, and greater things than your mind has ever dared to imagine. But you're holding on to something that holds you back. So what is it? What are you holding on to? What imaginary chains have you chained down? What is it? And in this scripture, there's a story of a very rich man encountering Jesus. Jesus had this invitation for him, but this man was held back by what he was holding on to. So he never really stepped into what was truly possible in life. So I'm grabbing my Bible here. It's the Passion Translation, and I'm heading to Mark chapter 10, verses 17 through 22. It says, as Jesus started on his way, a man came running up to him. Kneeling down in front of him, he cried out, "Good teacher, what one thing am I required to do to gain eternal life?" Jesus responded, "Why do you call me good? Only God is truly good. You already know the commandments. Do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal, do not give a false testimony, do not cheat, and honor your father and mother." The man said to Jesus, "Teacher, I have carefully obeyed these laws since my youth." Jesus fixed his gaze upon the man with tender love and said to him, "Yet there is still one thing in you lacking. Go, sell all that you have and give the money to the poor. Then all of your treasure will be in heaven. After you've done this, come back and walk with me." Completely shocked by Jesus' answer, he turned and walked away, very sad, for he was extremely rich. Now, I want us to ponder on this. Is Jesus saying you must give away everything to have salvation? No, thank goodness, right? Is he saying the only way to get into heaven is to have nothing left? Once again, no. Actually, what we are likely missing in this story is Jesus is inviting this rich man to come and be one of his disciples. Come, follow me. Aren't those the same words he spoke to Peter in his boat? He said to Peter, "Come and follow me." And while Peter didn't have a lot of possessions to let go of, he did have the catch of a lifetime sitting in his boat. Do you remember when Peter had been out fishing all night? He had caught nothing. And as a professional fisherman, that's a pretty bad night, right? And then Jesus comes walking up the next morning as Peter's putting away his nets and says, "Hey, go back out on the water, cast your nets one more time." And while that didn't make any sense, Peter did as Jesus suggested and proceeded to bring in so many fish, the nets began to break and the boat began to sink. And again, to a professional fisherman, that's a big deal because that's a big paycheck. But now Jesus says, "Come follow me." And that means Peter will have to let go of this great success he just hauled in. And he accepted the invitation. let go of what could hold him back, and stepped into a life of greater meaning and deeper purpose than he could imagine. I mean, really, do you think he would have ever thought he would be the one walking on water with Jesus? And guess what? He wouldn't have been the one walking on water with Jesus if he would have held on to that successful catch. He had to let go to follow Jesus. So back to the first story, right? Where the rich man who has so many possessions standing before Jesus, receiving an invitation to be one of his disciples. Jesus says, sell it all, then give away the rest and come follow me. But that was too much for him. He was willing to follow the rules. He was willing to obey the commandments, but he couldn't let go of his treasures, so he missed his opportunity. What could this man have done with Jesus? I mean, if Peter, the fisherman, walked on water with Jesus, what could this successful businessman have done with Jesus? What could he have built? What could he have created that we would still be using today? What potential did God place within him that never came to fruition because he wasn't willing to let go of the things that held him back? The rich man had to give up his possessions. Peter, the fisherman, had to give up his best catch ever. And I'm not saying to go sell all your material and physical things, but ponder on this for a moment. What is Jesus asking you to give up to really come follow him? We're all holding on to something. We're all clinging on to some sort of idol, and whatever we're holding on to may just be what is holding us back. Jesus wants us to live freely without constraint, but the things we hold on to act as chains holding us back, keeping us from the freedom of fully living. In Galatians 5:1, Passion Translation again, it says, let me be clear, the Anointed One has set us free, and not partially, but completely and wonderfully free. We must always cherish this truth and stubbornly refuse to go back into the bondage of our past. Christ set you free to live a free life, and anything you can't let go of is truly holding you back. Can't you just hear Jesus saying, drop that and let's go? And you're like, drop what? What do we need to drop, right? For me to live in freedom, and we're much like the rich man with many possessions, and we are letting go of a lot this year that we have worked so hard to build, the time, the finances, the dreams, the ideas. Piece by piece, we are shifting things up a bit to step into this unknown, and it's pretty exciting, but more on that later. I know I'm being vague here, but I will certainly not be vague in the months to come. So I do encourage you to stay tuned, as I will kind of be unveiling more of our story on here soon. Today's not that day though, but my point is this. There are things that we have to give up and to let go of so that we can launch, to fly, to use as a springboard into something greater. We need to walk through that new door. But with that, every time we have to let go of something, to let go of everything that is holding us back. All the things, all the pretty things, the success, a paycheck, a big, beautiful house. Hear me and my heart when I say this. None of those things are bad. I really love nice things. And I actually really like big baseboards. I know that sounds crazy, but that's just one of the things. Okay, I'm getting off track. I love nice things, okay? But I'm using those as an example because for some, we chase all that and they become our number one focus above anything and everything else. And they begin to stand in the way of fully following Jesus and where he wants to lead us. Let me ask you a few questions here for you to wrestle with. Have you become a slave to your work? Have you become a slave to your big house and your cars, barely keeping up with it all? Are you a slave to buying more and more to make it look better and better? Are you being a slave to anything that doesn't work for Jesus? I'm here to tell you, he will call you away from that in an instant. So what are you a slave to? Are you a slave to the stories you tell yourself, the excuses you go back to, a slave to past mistakes and regrets, a slave to bad habits, bad attitudes, a slave to generations of that's the way it's always been, so that's the way it's always going to be? Jesus came to set you free, so he's going to ask you to drop all of that. It's the good stuff and the bad stuff that we hold on to. It's the stuff we can't imagine living without. It's the stuff we've worked our whole life to get, and it's the stuff we hate, but we're so used to living with it that we don't know how to live without it. All that stuff is holding you back, and Jesus is standing here saying, come, follow me. And I can't tell you exactly where he's asking you to go, and we may never know exactly, but he's leading you to your destiny, your calling, your purpose. It's a path to tap into your deepest, your greatest potential. You're going to want to go there, but you're not going to know where there is while you're standing here being held back by what you're holding on to. And you know, the funny thing about the things we hold on to, they hold on to us even more. They have a grip on us that is restricting our freedom and limiting our reach. And this is the very thing Jesus came to set you free of. So what is it? You can't follow Jesus into the fullness of life he has available to you if you keep holding back what he is asking you to let go of. For me, the process of letting go started with one small step. About 4 or 5 years ago, I started looking at things and material objects and all the things I really loved and looked at them for what they truly are. Things. I know we talked about hoarding on a prior episode and throwing things out. I believe it was the end of last year. You can go back to that episode and check it out, but it's human nature, as we all like to hold on to things and hoard them. I have to laugh. My family never lets me forget that I hoarded food in my bedroom back in the day. SpaghettiOs, to be exact. They make me gag now when I even think about it, but I knew I wanted them. I loved them and didn't want to or like to share with my brother, probably because he loved them even more than me. I might not have been very nice, but it was certainly holding me back from kindness. But I like to think of our first step in letting go as sharing, or to live with an abundance mindset versus a mindset of lack. Does that make sense? I know this sounds so simple and crazy all at the same time, but I began to share. The SpaghettiOs turned into accolades, pressure, the perfection, the success, climbing the ladder, the busyness, the anxiety addiction, the overdoing, the overperforming, you name it. It's not just material things, guys, here, but I encourage you to give something away that you love, that you hold on to, that you cling to. Whether it's food or things you have in the house, clothes, a feeling, an emotion. But no, it doesn't have to be big to start. It can make someone's day, sharing, giving, serving. You can let go. It can free up space in your mind, or it could allow joy to soften your heart. The freedom in your spirit will feel absolutely amazing. And that freedom leads to letting the next thing go, and then the next, and then the next. I have this dream as much as I love all the nice, extravagant things. And again, possessions are not bad, but for me, I feel led in a calling in this life that I just don't want to be held back by things. I don't want to be married to a job, chasing after all the doing, and never being present or striving just to keep up with the bills and never have any time to go to new places, to meet new people, to experience new things. And the best part, I want to invite others to join us. Call it crazy or think I'm off my rocker, but we are not meant to be slaves to what the culture and society has defined as success, or to be slaves to any idol that needs to go, that stops you in your tracks to where God is calling you to go. And let's be real here. We all have an idol of some sort. So start small. What do you think you've been holding on to that is holding you back? Could you challenge yourself to let go of a little piece of that and then check to see if your spirit feels more free? Let go of a little piece of that responsibility you've been taking on at work. How's that feel? Let go of one of the stories you've been telling over and over and over again. How does that feel? Let go of one thing you've always believed you couldn't do and give it another try. How does that feel? Jesus is saying, come follow me. What will you need to let go of so you can go? What are you holding on to that's holding you back? Loosen your grip. Quit white knuckling the steering wheel. I promise it's going to be worth it. If you're wanting more fire in your day, there's so much for you to do so. You can follow me on Instagram, snag a copy of my book set free on Amazon, join us for the Just Breathe small group, the Flip the Script one-on-one nutrition coaching, or the next retreat. We are heading to Glacier, Alaska, and St. Thomas. So we've been all over the place on epic adventures that allow us to step outside our comfort zone. So be sure to go to jillallencoaching.com for all updates or join the Just Breathe Facebook group. We would love to connect with you. Heads up on the next episode, we are continuing the Chain Breaker series to help propel you living a life of true freedom. So be sure to pop back in next week. Thanks so much for joining us today, and I pray that we filled your heart with joy. If you could let us know before hopping off here today, that would be incredible. Subscribe, share this episode link on your social media if you felt encouraged or inspired, as we all know someone that can benefit, and I would love it if you would give some feedback and a review as well. Talk with you next time. Be fit, be fierce, be unstoppable. See ya.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.